Basic, sir.
So let's take a quick revision. We will not give too much time in revising the basic concept. We will take a quick brush up of all the previous concepts which you have already studied in network subject. Okay, just a short discussion over it. Okay, and thereafter we will take some numerical based on a university paper to revise the concepts. Then we will switch over to objective questions, which usually comes in competitive exams as well as in GATE exams. This subject usually called as a network analysis and synthesis. So you might have studied these two terms, analysis and synthesis. Both type of problem included in your syllabus. So first of all, you should be very much clear about the idea of what is analysis type of problem and what is synthesis type of problem. Okay. Analysis problem. Analysis problem, if particular network is given to you, any kind of a network is given to you along with the excitation. Then excitation is what? Voltage source, current source, whatever the source present in the circuit, that can be considered as excitation. So if network along with the excitation is given to you and you are required to calculate response. Response may be current, voltage and power through any particular branch. Okay, so if network is given to you along with the source and it has been asked to calculate current, power or voltage drop across any branch, then this problem comes under the category of analysis problem. Means network along with the excitation will be given and we will be calculating response. Okay. And in synthesis problem is little bit different. In synthesis category of problem, network will be given to the excitation will be given to you and requirement will be given to you. Means response will be given to you, and to achieve that response by utilizing given excitation, you have to design the network. Here response will be given, excitation will be given, we have a target what we need to achieve, as well as supply is also given to us. So by utilizing that particular source or that particular excitation, you have to design the network to receive, to obtain desired output, that is desired response. So such category of problem comes under the category of synthesis problem. Suppose you have a network in which there are multiple series parallel combination and a 10-volt voltage source is connected across it. Okay. And we are going to calculate current through any branch, let's say 2 ohm. Current through 2 ohm if we are going to calculate, then whatever result we will be getting, that result will remain same no matter whether you are using KVL method, KCL method, or you are utilizing any kind of a theorems, Thevenin's, Norton's, etc. So in analysis problem, result will be unique. So if you have a network, citation is given to you, and if you are calculating current through any particular branch, let's say current through 2 ohm branch, and if it is coming out to be, let's say 1 ampere. So if I'm getting this current through 2 ohm branch is 1 ampere by KVL method, so it will remain 1 ampere by any method, whether you are utilizing Thevenin's theorem, Norton's theorem, KVL, KCL, it doesn't matter. So result of analysis problem is unique. By utilizing different method, it is not going to change. But in case of a synthesis problem, you may have n number of results because the category of synthesis problem is a little bit different. In synthesis problem, what will happen? In synthesis problem, we'll be having source, that is excitation, and target will be given to us, that is response. So we'll have to achieve the response by utilizing the given excitation. So for that, we will be designing network. So for example, if I have 200-volt excitation, that is my input. If I have 200-volt excitation and my requirement is to achieve 50-volt in response side, okay, that is in secondary side. My input, that is excitation, is 200-volt, and my target is to achieve 50-volt in response. So it means I can design any kind of a network which can fulfill this requirement. I can bring one transformer which can directly step down voltage from 200 to 50 volt. This will be a particular solution of the network. Or and some other person can design another kind of a network where he can use two different transformers. First will step down to 100 to 100 volt, then next transformer will step down from 100 volt to further 50 volt. So again, result, our requirement is same, but different kind of a network can be designed. So in case of a synthesis problem, result will not be unique. You may have n number of results in synthesis problem, whereas in analysis problem, result will be unique. Okay. Whether you solve it, I solve it, or whether you are using any different method, result will be. But in synthesis, this will not be the case. Okay. Now next, let's quickly take a look over network topologies, basic terms related to network studies, network circuit, network theorem, whatever name you call it. Okay. First one is your node. So node and junction. These two are almost related terms. Some of you might be getting confused. What is a node and what is a junction? There is a slight difference between this. Any point can be considered as a node if minimum two elements are connected at that point. Simple. It is that point in an electrical network where two or more than two elements are connected. Okay, means minimum requirement is two elements should be connected. Maximum can be as much as possible. Okay, minimum requirement is two. If any point is having minimum two elements, then that particular point can be considered as a node. Okay, I'm talking about element. There's no restriction that it should be passive or active. Any kind of element can be present. Okay, it may be active, it may be passive. You are already aware about active and passive element. Active, those who supply, and passive, those who consumes. Okay, so if two elements, minimum two elements are connected at any point, then that particular point can be considered as a node. Minimum, maximum can be any quantity. Okay. Then what is junction? Let's take an example of node. In this particular given figure, which point can be considered as a node? I can consider point A as a node because as per the definition of a node, at point A, R1 as well as V1, two elements are connected. Our requirement is now fulfilled. Minimum two elements should be there. So node point A can be considered as a node. Then second thing, point B. Minimum requirement is minimum two elements should be connected. But at point B, three elements are connected. So this can also be considered as a node. Minimum requirement is not fulfilled. Point C. Point C can also be considered as a node. With point C, R3 and V2 are connected. Okay. Then similarly, point D, with point D, R2, V2, and V1, again, three elements are connected. So in this given network, I can say that there are four different nodes: node A, node B, node C, and node D. Okay. Then what is junction? Difference between node and junction is just for node, minimum requirement is two elements should be connected, but for junction, minimum requirement is three elements should be connected. Okay. If minimum three element is connected to any particular point, then that particular point can be considered as a junction. Okay. So in the given network, if again we take an example of this particular network, and if we try to identify the junction present in the given network, then can I call point A as a junction? No, because at point A, if you see carefully, only two elements are connected, which is not the minimum sufficient criteria for junction. For junction, minimum three elements should be connected. So I can consider point B as a junction because at point B, you have R3, you have R1, as well as you have R2. Minimum three requirement has now fulfilled. So point B can be considered as a junction. Point B cannot be considered as a junction because only two elements are connected. Then moving on to point D. Again, yes, point D can also be considered as a junction because at point D, we have V1, R2, and V2. So in this given network, we have two junctions. First one is your point B and another one is your point D. But if you're talking about node, we have four nodes: point A, point B, point C, and point D. All are nodes. Means we can say that every junction is a node, but every node is not necessarily a junction. So if any particular point, and we are calling that particular point as a junction, means by default it's a node. If it is junction, definitely three elements are connected, minimum three elements. So it is already fulfilling the requirement of node, which requires only two elements should be connected at a particular point. Okay. So moving on. Now, branch. Don't get confused. Simple. For node, minimum two elements should be connected. For junction, minimum three elements should be connected. Maximum can be any quantity. Okay. Then branch. It is that part of electrical network which is connected between two junctions. So here we have B and D. are two junctions. So R2 can be considered as a branch, and then branch may be of two or three different type of elements connected in series. Means if this is a point B and this is this is junction B and this is junction B, you may have one single element connected in between, or you may have two different elements connected in series, or three, any quantity. Means whatever elements are connected between two junction, that can be considered as a one branch. Okay. So here we have one branch, which is this one. Okay. Now closed path and mesh, like node and junction, there is slight difference between closed path and mesh. Okay. What is closed path? It is that path which start from a point and terminates at the same point. Suppose if I'm starting from point A, moving on to B, D, and coming back to point A, means this particular path can be considered as a closed path, or you can also call it as a loop. Okay, simple. Start from any point and come back to the same point. Simple. Okay, that is closed path. Then we can have another closed path. If I start from B, moving on to C, D, and back to same point, again this is also a closed path. Then we can have one more closed path. If I start from A, moving on to B, C, then D, and coming back to A, then this can also be considered as a closed path. Means requirement of closed path is just start from any point and by traveling come back to the same point. So that is your closed path. So in the given network, we are having three closed paths, but there is a slight difference between closed path and mesh. So if you are coming to the mesh, then what is the difference between mesh? Mesh is more or less similar to the closed path. One difference, what is it? Closed path can be this one, as well as this one. But the requirement of mesh is, it is that closed path which does not contain any other closed path inside it. Means if I am considering A, B, C, D, and A, so this path can be considered as a closed path, but this cannot be considered as a mesh, because the requirement of mesh is it should not contain any other closed path inside it. So if we are seeing here we have one more closed path inside it. Means this particular path cannot be considered as a mesh, as it does contain one more closed path inside it. Okay. So in this particular network, mesh can be considered as a this one, point A to this. This is a mesh because it does not contain any other closed path inside it. And another one, this one can also be considered as a mesh. It is also not containing any other closed path inside it. So in this given network, we have two meshes. But if we are talking about closed path, we have three closed paths. Outer one can also be considered as a closed path. Simple. We have seen node, junction, branch, closed path, and mesh. Node, minimum 2 elements should be connected. Junction, minimum 3 elements should be connected. Branch, element connected between two junction. Then closed path, start from any point, coming back to the same point, can be considered as a closed path. So any path can be considered as a closed path. Okay, there's no restriction. But in case of a mesh does contain one restriction, that it should not contain any other closed path inside it. Okay. Now you might have studied also energy sources. Okay, energy sources. There are two types of energy sources: voltage source as well as current source. Okay, so voltage source, this one. There are also two category of sources: ideal as well as practical. Okay, the simple concept of ideal device is, if any device is ideal, I'm not just specifically talking about this particular voltage or current source. If any device is ideal, what is the general concept of ideal? If I'm saying that this particular motor is ideal, is an ideal device, so what should be the characteristic of it? If any device is ideal, means whatever input you will be providing to it, it will convert that complete input into an output one. Means your output will be always equals to input. There will not be any losses in the circuit. Okay, no losses, no voltage drop, nothing. Efficiency will be 100%. Output equals to input. Okay. which is just a theoretical concept. You will not receive any kind of a ideal device in practical life. Okay, even if you are using any motor, you will be observing that motor is getting heated up. Okay, whatever output it is giving at the output side, mechanical rotation, along with this, some losses continuously taking place inside the motor, because of which motor body, outer body is getting heated up. Okay, that is losses. So every device does contain some losses, whether it is an electrical device, mechanical device, etc. Okay. So similarly, in ideal and practical, as we are talking about voltage source, if it is ideal, means output will be equals to input. So simple. If we have 10-volt source, when I will connect load at this side, when I will connect load here at load terminal, same 10-volt will appear at the load side. Means this is simply showing the characteristic of ideal source. Okay, so this can be considered as an ideal voltage source. But in practical case, this 10-volt will not be appear at the load side. Definitely there will be some drop, some reduction takes place, and output will be always less than input. Okay, so here in practical voltage source, we have placed one internal resistance which is connected in series. Okay, so when I will connect load at this side, and if again this is a 10-volt source, some voltage drop may take place at this resistance. Suppose it is a 1 volt. So at output side, you will be receiving 10 minus 1, this is 9. Means output will be always less than input. So this is the characteristic of ideal. In ideal, all output will be always less than input, whereas in ideal, output and input are same. Okay. So this is showing practical characteristic. Output is less than input. Now, why we are connecting it in series only? Because we have already studied Kirchhoff's voltage law. In series, voltage gets divided. If I connect it in parallel instead of connecting it in series, what will happen? In parallel, voltage remains same. So same voltage will again appear at the low side. Again, it will show the characteristic of ideal voltage source. Okay, so which is not our requirement. So here our requirement is to show practical voltage source. So that's why we will be connecting internal resistance in series with the voltage source. This one. Then current, similarly, concept of current, ideal. Again, ideal means whatever the supply, whatever the value of current source, if it is 10 ampere, same current will appear at the load side, which is here. Whenever you will be connecting load at this terminal, same 10 ampere current you will be receiving at the load side. So this is the ideal concept. Okay, no losses takes place. Output is equals to input. But whereas in practical source, if it is a practical current source, again if it is having a value of 10 ampere, then as per the concept of practical, load should receive lesser value than supplied value. Okay, so if it is 10 ampere, definitely this 10 ampere will get divided at this point. This RP is the internal resistance which is now connected in parallel. So this current will get divided here. Some will flow in its internal resistance and remaining will be through the load. So definitely it may happen that 1 ampere is flowing through the internal resistance and remaining 9 amperes flowing through the load. It depends upon the load, internal resistance and internal resistance. May change. Here we have connected internal resistance in parallel. Why not in series? Because if we connect in parallel, if we connect it in series current remains same. So if 10 ampere is supplying by the source, the load will also receive same 10 ampere current, which will again show the characteristic of ideal current source, which is not our requirement. So that's why we have here connected internal resistance in parallel. Now next, then we have dependent source, which can also be considered as a control source, and independent source, which can also be considered as an uncontrolled source. Okay, dependent source and independent source. What may be the difference between dependent and independent source? So for whatever source we have just seen, it was all independent sources. Okay, or you can call it as an uncontrolled source. Now, dependent source or control source, as the name suggests, you can simply visualize that the magnitude of that source can be controlled by some other parameter. If suppose this is a voltage source, and if I'm mentioning its value 10 volt, simply it is having a 10 volt, it is not going to change. Okay, means it's an independent source. The value of this voltage source is fixed. If it is 10 volt, it will remain 10 volt. It is not going to change. Okay, but if instead of writing this 10 volt, if I write 10 V Vs, so means its magnitude will depend on Vs, and Vs may be the voltage across any particular element in the network. Okay, means by controlling the value of this Vs, you can control the magnitude of this voltage source. Okay, instead of writing Vs, I could have written here Is. Means now I can say magnitude of this voltage source will be controlled by controlling this current Is, which may be current through any branch in the network. Okay, so this is dependent source. The value of this voltage source is dependent on the magnitude of Is. So by controlling this Is, you can control the value of this voltage. Okay, so there are different categories. First one, you may have voltage controlled voltage source. Here you can see by polarity, you can simply visualize that it's a voltage source. Now by seeing the magnitude of this is 2Vx. 2Vx means you can simply call it as a voltage controlled voltage source. It's a voltage source and it is being controlled by the voltage Vx, which may be the voltage across any element. Means you can simply call it as a voltage controlled voltage source. Then second one, again it's a voltage source, but you can consider it as a current controlled voltage source because its magnitude is 2 into Ix. Means by controlling Ix, you can control the magnitude of this voltage source. So it is current dependent voltage source. Okay. Similarly, you can have voltage controlled, current control, voltage controlled current source. It's a current source by seeing the arrow marking. This is also current source, but this current source, first one, is being controlled by voltage Vx, means it's a voltage controlled current source. Then this one is a current controlled current source. Simple, 4 types of category. Now, Kirchhoff's voltage law, we have already studied it n number of time. V1, algebraic sum of all supply voltage equals to voltage drop. So here supply voltage is only one V, and voltage drop may be across R1, R2, and R3. You can either write it in this format or in this format. Okay, there's no difference. V1 is a voltage drop across R1, which can also be written as a I into R1, then V2 I into R2. Simple. Okay. Then Kirchhoff's current law. Kirchhoff's current law, simple. Algebraic sum of all incoming current is equals to algebraic sum of all outgoing current. So here we have 3 incoming currents at this point, and here we have 3 outgoing currents. So I have written here incoming current is equals to outgoing current, or you can call it as algebraic sum of all branch current meeting at a point is equals to 0. Incoming can be considered as positive or outgoing can be considered as negative, or vice versa. Then mesh analysis. Then quickly take a look of for the rules used for applying mesh analysis. Okay. Then rules for mesh analysis. First step, I'm just quickly revising it. Okay. You may receive some problem in which it will be required to apply these rules by using some logical techniques rather than this conventional method. Okay, but at least you must have an idea about it. First step is to identify number of meshes in the network. Okay, then assume current in each loop. In clockwise direction, it is not mandatory. You may assume anti-clockwise direction. It will be completely your assumption. Apply loop in clockwise direction, then this can also be considered in anti-clockwise. For the sake of simplicity, you may follow any particular direction which may be clockwise. Okay. Then while writing down, first identify mesh. Suppose if you have 2 meshes, okay, assume current in each mesh. Okay. Suppose I'm assuming current in first mesh I1 and in second mesh I2. Okay. Then while writing down loop equation, if direction of loop and current are same, then consider voltage drop as positive. So definitely we are going to assume current in clockwise direction, as well as we are going to apply loop also in clockwise direction. So means most of the cases we will be receiving both the direction are same. So we can simply write voltage drop as positive. Okay. You can also change sign convention. It purely depends on you which sign convention you are going to follow. And for writing down voltage, see the entering polarity of the voltage source by following loop direction. Means if the voltage source is in this fashion, so by following clockwise direction, I am entering from negative terminal. So means I will be writing minus. Okay, these are the rules for applying mesh analysis. Then let's take a sample problem. Revise the concept more problem. Then identify number of meshes present in the network, given network. Here you can simply see there are three meshes. This one, and this one. Okay. This one can be considered as I1, I2, and I3. Okay. I have already told you that first identify number of mesh, then assume current, then apply loop equation in clockwise direction. Okay. So first of all, we have identified that there are three meshes present in the network. Then we have assumed loop currents and all are in clockwise direction. There are three loops, three meshes, three currents we have considered. Now we need to apply loop in clockwise direction. Okay. If I am applying KVL equation in loop 1, what sign convention we were following? Let's see. We were considering this particular sign convention in which for writing down voltage, see the entering polarity of the voltage source. Means if I'm applying equation in loop 1, see the entering polarity of the voltage source by following clockwise loop direction always. So by following clockwise loop direction, I'm entering from negative polarity, means I will be simply writing down minus 50. Okay. Now moving on to resistance to ohm. So while writing down loop equation, if direction of loop and current are same, then considered voltage drop as positive. Means every time we will be receiving same direction because we have assumed current in clockwise direction as well as we are going to apply loop in clockwise direction. Means both the direction will be same. So in short, we will be simply writing down voltage drop in plus polarity. Okay? In with plus sign, plus I into R to make it equivalent to V equals to IR. Okay. Whenever you are receiving impedances, you need to multiply it with current. Okay. So plus 2 and the current through 2 ohm will be I1 minus I2. Okay. It will be I1 minus I2 because I am applying KVL equation in loop 1. So my I1 will be reference. So that I1 minus I3. Sorry, I1 minus I3. Then for 6 ohm, for this 6 ohm, it will be I1 minus I2 plus 6 I1 minus I2 equals to 0. Okay. The next, okay, oh, it has been written over. Okay. So minus 50, 2 I1 minus I3, 6 I1 minus I2. Okay, you can rearrange it. This is 8 I1 minus 6 I2 minus 3 is equals to 50. Okay. Now apply KVL in loop 2. If I am applying KVL equation in loop 2, as per clockwise direction, again I am entering from negative terminal. Means this one, I am entering from negative polarity. So means I will be writing minus 10. Okay. So I will be writing minus 10. This one minus 10. Then plus 6. Now I'm in loop 2. So my I2 will be reference current. So I2 minus I1 and for 8 it will be I2 minus I3. Okay. So I2 minus I1 and for 8 it will be I2 I3. Now again rearrange it in I1, I2 and I3. Now apply KVL in loop 3. In loop 3, we have 10, 8 and 2. For 10, there is a single current which is I3. With 8 ohm, we'll be writing I3 minus I2 and with 2 ohm, I'll be writing I2 minus I. Okay. So simply I have written away. Okay. Now, after solving the simultaneous equation, you can get value of I1, I2 and I3. This was the simple problem which usually asked in numerical in university exam along with inductor, capacitor and all and mutual coupling. But you are not going to receive similar category of problem in GATE exam. I just took this problem to make your revision more clear, whatever basic we have studied related to rules for applying mesh analysis, to just to apply to make it convenient for complex problem so that you will be able to apply this without any difficulty in some tricky problems. Okay. So don't expect that such type of a numerical will we come in GATE exam. Okay, next. Again, here we have three loops. Oh, sorry, in previous numerical, we have calculated value of current I1, I2, and I3. After calculating value of these three currents, we can easily find out the value of current through any branch as well as voltage drop across any branch as well as power drop. Okay. If I need to find out current through 10 ohm, what will be the current through 10 ohm? It will be simply I3. Okay. You can simply see that we have assumed I3 current flowing through 10 ohm. If I need to find current through 8 ohm, then I can calculate it by either I2 minus I3 or I3 minus I2. But direction should be marked very carefully. If I'm writing down I2 minus I3, means my direction will be left to right. And if I'm writing I3 minus I2, my direction will be right to left. Okay. Similarly, for 2 ohm, you can calculate it by either I1 minus I3 or I3 minus I1. Okay. If power loss is required, then you can simply apply formula I square into R. If we need to calculate power loss across 10 ohm, means 10 ohm, current through 10 ohm, it will be I3, square of I3 into 10. Okay. Simple. Then moving on to next one. Here we have four loops. So we can simply assume four currents in four loop. But for applying mesh analysis, we must have voltage source. We must have a voltage source. So we need to first convert this current source into a voltage. Okay. But before moving on to this, here we have one dummy element. If we look at carefully, this 3 ohm is a dummy element. You might have seen the concept of dummy element. Dummy element simply, if you have a voltage source, this is your practical voltage source. Okay, this is your practical voltage source. If you are connecting any element somewhere here, then it doesn't matter. Here we don't have any dummy element. But if you connect this 3 ohm here, then this 3 ohm will be a dummy one. Because of this 3 ohm, this voltage source is no more a practical voltage source. If it were connected somewhere here, then there is no problem. This voltage source is exactly a practical voltage source. In practical voltage source, internal resistance should be in series. Okay. So if any element connected directly in parallel with the ideal voltage source, directly in parallel with the ideal voltage source, no matter whether it is a resistor, inductor, or capacitor, it will be considered as a dummy element. Means any element comes directly in parallel with the ideal voltage source, not practically. If you are connecting it here, then it is in parallel with the practical voltage source, which is not the requirement. If it is connected over here, then this is connected parallel with the ideal voltage source, then this will be considered as a dummy element, and you will have to remove this dummy element by open circuit. This was for voltage. Similarly, for current source, practical current source, it does contain one internal resistance in parallel. So if we have a current source, and if I'm connecting any particular element over here, so it doesn't matter. But if I connect any particular element somewhere here, then this 1 ohm will be considered as a dummy element. Because of this 1 ohm, this current source is not a practical current source. Okay, means no element should be connected in series with the ideal current source. If any element is connected in series with the ideal current source, then it can be considered as a dummy element. And series dummy element can be replaced by short, not by open. If you replace it by open, then current source will be removed from the circuit. So series dummy element will be replaced by short. So in short, here also we have a dummy element. With this current source, there is no such issue. But with this current source, we have one element which is 3 ohm connected in series. Okay, so you'll have to remove this 3 ohm resistance by short circuit. Okay, so I'll have to replace this 3 ohm resistance by a short circuit. Now I can convert this current source into a voltage. This can be considered as a voltage, convert into a voltage source, and this can also be converted into a voltage source. Okay. Okay. After conversion, you will be simply receiving one numerical. I'm not going to solve it completely. It's more or less similar to previous problem. Okay. Okay. Almost done. Fine. Okay. both the sources has now converted into a voltage source. Here we have only two loops. You can assume current in both the loops. After this, you can apply simply mesh equation and you can find out current through any branch. What has asked over here? Here we need to calculate current I, which is this one, means current through 1 ohm. So current through 1 ohm will be simply I1. If you assume I1 is the current of this loop. Okay. Then moving on to next. Here also, there's nothing new. You can simply convert this current source into a voltage source. But there is one problem. Here, we need to calculate I1, I2, and I3. So if we convert this current source into a voltage, then what would happen? This will be converted. This will remain 1. This will remain 2, 4, and 3 to 6 volt, and this was 1 and this was 20. So now after conversion, we will be having only two loops available, I1 and I2. So how we can find out all three currents, I1, I2, and I3? Okay. So because of this restriction, we cannot convert this current source into a voltage source, because we convert this, then this I1 will be eliminated. We won't have any option to calculate this I1. Okay. So we cannot convert this. So what option we have is, so we can simply write I1 is equals to 2 ampere, because value of I1 is directly given. This I1 is nothing but your 2 ampere. This is the I1, which is 2 ampere. So you can directly write I1 is equals to 2 ampere. And after this, you can apply KVL in remaining two meshes. You can apply KVL in this mesh and this mesh. And whenever you will be receiving I1, just simply put value of I1, which is equals to 2. Means by applying mesh in these two loops, you can easily find the value of I2 and I3. And I1 is not unknown here. We have already get the specific value of I1, which is 2 ampere. Okay. Now last one. Find current through 3 ohm. This trick may be required at some places. That's why I'm taking it. It might be looking similar, but this is not the case. If you consider this as a I1, I2, as well as I3. If I'm going to apply KVL in this mesh, if suppose this is I1, and this is I2, and this is I3, how I will be writing the mesh equation? One option is to consider I1 is 4 ampere. Okay. If again you receive any further complexity in numerical, we have studied one law, which is I shift rule. I shift and V shift rule. What I shift rule says, you can simply split this current source into two parts. I mean, this will also be a 4 ampere. This will also be a 4 ampere. After shifting, you can simply convert this current into a voltage and this current into a voltage. Okay. Means our circuit will be simplified. After this, we can apply mesh equation in two different meshes. Okay. Now, last one. This is the problem of super mesh. What is the difference in normal problem and super mesh? In super mesh, you will be receiving current source in between two meshes. Because of the current source connected in between two meshes, you cannot easily convert this current source. If it were connected like this, not like this, like this. Here we have option. We have an option to convert this current source into a voltage, because current source with internal resistance is present. Here, current source with internal resistance is not present. Okay, here we don't have any internal resistance of the current source which should be connected in parallel. This is not the internal resistance, this is the dummy element. Any element connected directly in series with the current source is a dummy one. So this is the dummy element. This is not an internal resistance. In case of a current source, internal resistance should be connected in parallel. So this is not the case. Here we don't have any internal resistance of the current source. Means, in short, we cannot convert this current source. If internal resistance were connected in parallel, then we would convert this current source into a voltage one, like this. Then we could have simply applied mesh analysis and finish. Okay. No, but this is not the case. Here, current source is connected between two meshes. So this problem comes under the category of super mesh. Okay. So if we are going for super mesh, if I consider this I1, this one is I2, and this one is I3. Okay, here you can see this is the normal mesh. This is normal mesh with voltage source as well as resistances. So you can simply apply a normal equation for this particular mesh. Okay. So if I apply KVL equation for loop 3, so it will be simple. I will be writing as per clockwise direction. I am entering from positive terminal. So I will be writing plus 10, plus 10. Then for this I1, for this 1 ohm, I will be writing 1 I3 minus I2. I3 minus I2. Then 1 I3 minus I1. Then plus 1 I3 minus I. Simple is equals to 0. You can rearrange it. It doesn't matter. But after this, if I apply KVL equation, similar KVL equation in this loop, I cannot apply because I know the method how to write down resistance. I will be writing it with multiplying by current. I know how to write down voltage. It may be plus or minus depending upon the anti-polarity as per clockwise direction, but I don't have any method how to write down current source. Okay, so in this mesh we have a current source and we don't know how to write down this voltage source in mesh analysis. Okay, so we can apply super mesh. This is the super mesh. How you can identify super mesh? If current source is connected between two meshes, then that complete mesh can be considered as a super mesh. Means in short, this complete mesh will be considered as a single super mesh. Okay, so while write down the equation of super mesh, you will be considering all element in both the meshes by avoiding this 1 ampere current source. Okay, so if I write down equation, if I start from this 1 ohm, applying super mesh, starting from 1 ohm. So 1 ohm, let's start from here. 1 ohm. Current through this 1 ohm is I2. So I will be writing simply 1 I2. After this, again this is I2 plus 1 I2. Then with this current through this one is 1 ohm plus 1 plus 1 I1. Then again with this, again I1 plus 1 I1. Then with this, I'm in this loop. I'm in this loop. Means my current will be I1 minus I. My current will be I1 minus I. So plus 1 I1 minus I. Now for this, now I'm in this loop. So my current will be I2 minus I. 1 I2 minus I. Means you need to simply apply KVL equation by combining these two meshes in which current source is common. By avoiding this current source, you need to simply consider this current source is not available in the circuit. Okay, don't remove it. It will remain in the circuit. While applying KVL equation in super mesh, you will be simply considering that current source is not present. Okay, now we have two equations. Okay, first one is this one. You can simplify it. Another one is this one. Again, you can simplify it. But here we have three variables, which is I1, I2, and I3. So definitely we must have minimum three equations. Okay, and here we have only two equations. So one equation is still left. How we can write down remaining one equation? You can simply see value of this current. Value of this current source is 1 ampere, and this is showing that rightward direction. So for rightward direction, this current will be I2 minus I1. And if it were in leftward direction, I would be writing I1 minus I2. Okay. Through this branch, current can be either I1 minus I2 or I2 minus I1. If you are writing I1 minus I2, means you are considering I1 is greater. Means I1 direction of I1 will be considered. And if you are writing I2 minus I1, means direction of I2 will be considered. So here the direction of this current source is leftward. Oh, sorry, rightward. So rightward direction will be of I2 minus I1. So I can simply write I2 minus I1 is equals to 1. Whereas if the value of this current source were 1 ampere with leftward direction, then I would be writing I1 minus I2. I1 minus I2, which is equals to 1 ampere. Okay. So now we have three equations, three variables. We can easily solve it. Okay. This is okay. Now, moving on to previously asked numericals. Okay, this was all the brush up of basic concepts required, which you have already studied in network subject. So no need to give too much time over it. Now, from here onwards, look at the problem carefully. You need to answer. Okay, I will be taking some university numericals as well as gate numericals. Now we have already taken some university numericals, so let's take some gate numericals. This particular numerical was asked in 1999. Just see and try to find out how we can get the answer. Find Vs. Okay, find Vs. You can apply mesh, nodal, whatever you want. Okay. Try to find out how we can get the value of Vs in this numerical. One more thing, if you are talking about KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage as well as Kirchhoff's current law. These laws are independent of the nature of element. Means nature nature of element you might have studied linear, non-linear, bilateral, unilateral, time variant, time invariant. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Rule will remain same whether it's a linear element, non-linear, bilateral, unilateral. Doesn't. Okay. Conversion of energy principle actually works for this. What exactly it is means if you're considering it Vs, this is your VR, Vc, VL, and VT diode. Okay. One thing, either you first consider the direction of current or you first mark the polarity across any element. Means if it is an active element, if element is active element, means current should enter from negative or positive. It should enter from negative. Let's take a simple example. This will be very, very important while solving any numerical. Okay. If you are considering this circuit, this is the actual direction of the current. Okay. So this current I, this is your voltage, means it's an active element. If it is an active element, this current is entering from negative terminal. It is entering from negative terminal. Means simply, if you are having an active source, current should enter from negative, and if you are having passive element, current should enter from positive. Means whatever the polarity of the voltage rise, exactly opposite polarity should be available in passive elements. Okay, means if this one is positive, this one is negative, means for impedances, I will be considering this positive, this negative, this positive, and this negative. Means as per law of conservation of energy, simply current is entering with negative terminal in voltage rise, whereas in voltage drop, it will enter with positive polarity. Positive polarity. Means in this particular numerical, if I first consider direction of current, if I am first considering direction of current, I, which is in this direction, means by keeping the direction of this current in mind, I will have to mark the polarity, and this is a passive element, means current should enter from positive, current should enter from positive, again current should enter from positive, again current should enter from positive. Okay, but if you are considering polarity first, means suppose if you are considering polarity of this element is this one, and second is this one, so you cannot consider a same direction of current for all the network, because for every passive element direction of current should be from positive, entering side should be positive. Means here you will have to show direction of current through VR is this, and then through inductor is this. No doubt value of current is same because it's a series circuit, but direction will change. Direction from passive element should be such that in case of passive element current should enter from positive, whereas in active element current should enter from negative. Simple. Okay, either first consider direction of current or first mark polarity. If you are first marking polarity, then direction of current should be such that it should enter from negative if it is a voltage rise, and if it is a voltage drop from positive. So here application of mesh is little bit restricted. If you are solving any competitive exam numerical, you better focus on applying KVL in closed path rather than mesh. Focus over my words. From here, we are moving on to gate level numericals, IAS numericals, whatever has asked in previous exams. Okay, so for this, keep it in mind that don't ever focus over mesh analysis. Concept of mesh will remain same, but try to prefer applying KVL in closed path. What is the difference? If I restrict myself for applying mesh analysis, means I can apply KVL in this mesh, in this mesh, in this mesh, but I cannot apply KVL in this outer closed path because this is not a mesh. So that's why I'm saying you don't restrict yourself to mesh analysis. Otherwise, you will not be able to apply mesh KVL equation in any such closed path. Because as per mesh concept, you cannot apply KVL in this closed path. You cannot apply KVL in this closed path. You can only apply here, here, or here. Okay. So by restricting, you will not be able to find out the answer. Okay. So better you apply KVL in any closed path. Whatever is comfortable, whatever is giving you some benefit, try to apply KVL in that closed path. So here, now coming out to the problem. Vs. Here we need to find out value of Vs. Simple one unknown is available in the circuit. Okay, we can easily find out, but there will be some trick. Here it will not be written to use mesh analysis and apply and solve. Okay. Here you will have to apply logical techniques, which method can be utilized to get out the answer. Okay. Now, if I apply KVL in this, suppose in this mesh, what will happen? Here we have only one unknown, Vs. We can easily find, but if we are going to apply KVL, means we must have voltage across all the elements. So we don't have voltage across 4 ohm, and also we don't have voltage across 1. Means our target is to first find out voltage across 4 ohm and 1 ohm. If we receive voltage across 4 ohm as well as 1 ohm, then we can simply apply KVL in this particular loop, and there will be only one unknown, which is your Vs. First fix the target, what we need to do. Okay, our target is to find out Vs. Okay, target is to find out Vs. Here also we can apply KVL. Again, there is only one unknown Vs, but we must have a voltage across 3 ohm, voltage across 2 ohm, voltage across 1 ohm, which we don't have, but we can try to find out. Okay. Can we find voltage across 2 ohm? Yes, current through 2 ohm is given to us, which is 3 ampere. So I can simply write okay. If I apply KVL in this loop, I'll be having 4 ohm, means we must have voltage across 4 ohm. If suppose I consider it as V1 and if I consider it as V2, so I will be writing V1, V2 and Vs, definitely with actual polarity. It may be minus, plus, minus, plus. Okay, my unknown will be only Vs. Okay, but right now we don't have voltage across 4 ohm as well as 1 ohm. Okay, so we can try to find out voltage. Okay. Here current through 2 ohm is given, so voltage across this 2 ohm will be simply 6 volt. But one thing, keep it in mind, what will be the polarity? If I need to mark polarity of this 2 ohm, what it would be? Current is in downward direction. If direction of current is already given, then as per this direction we can mark the polarity of the passive element. This is the passive element. For passive element, current should enter from positive terminal, means this one should be positive and this one should be negative. Okay, now can I find out voltage across this? If I can get value of current flowing through this branch, I can easily find out the voltage across this. What is the current flowing through this branch? We can see 1 ampere current coming from here, 3 ampere here. Okay, if I apply simply KCL at this point, if I apply KCL at this point, and if I am assuming direction of current is this, any direction of current you can assume, but only matter is if you are assuming this direction, means as per this direction, this should be considered as positive, this should be considered as negative. And if you are considering direction of current as this one, then this should be positive and this should be negative. That's it. Okay, means as per direction of passive element, current should enter from positive always. You have to be very careful in polarity, otherwise you will be getting always wrong answers. Polarity and direction is very important. Okay, then 1 ampere is coming from here. If I consider this current as in this direction, let us temporarily consider it as X. So as per KCL, Kirchhoff's current law. Kirchhoff's current law, incoming current is equals to outgoing current. Incoming is your 1 ampere, outgoing is X plus 3. So my X will be 1 minus 3, means it will be minus 2. Okay, so as per KCL, I am getting value of X is minus 2 and X is my current. So I will be writing simply minus 2 instead of writing here X. Okay, this I have received minus 2. This will be minus 2. Okay, now after getting value of this current, can I find out voltage across this? Yes, I into R. So I into R. What is I? I is minus 2 into R3. This will be minus 6. This will be minus 6. Means voltage across this element is your minus 6. As per this assumed direction, this should be positive and this should be negative. This is very important. Okay, this must be positive, this must be negative, because you have already assumed direction of current. So as per this assumption, your polarity should be correct. So for passive element, current should enter from positive. So that's why I have marked here positive. Here I have marked negative. Okay, now we have to see voltage across this. Voltage across this. Can I find out voltage across this? If I can find out voltage across this branch, I can find out current through this branch. And by applying KCL at this point, I can find out current through this branch. And after getting current through this branch, I can easily find out voltage across this branch. So this is a logical problem. If you know KVL, KCL, basic concept, everyone knows. But you will have to think where we can apply this. Okay, this is the first problem. If you are getting confused, it will be difficult. Now, what can be done? So far, we have calculated voltage across 3 ohm and current through 3 ohm. Okay, now moving on. Now, if I apply KVL in this loop, can I do that? If I apply KVL in this loop, Shifa, Ankita, are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting how to apply KVL in different type of a closed loop? Because polarity and direction of current, it's a very crucial point while solving any numerical of network theorem related to GATE or any other competitive exams. Okay, you have to be very careful in polarity. You might be getting confused because it's the first problem. I have not taken any such detailed concept of such kind of a numerical, but time actually doesn't permit the short span of a time available to us. That's why I'm simply taking sample problem which has already asked to make you aware which kind of a problems actually comes in GATE exam. So you should not be in a dilemma that if you are getting how to solve university numerical, you will be able to solve such kind of a numerical. No, it's not the case. Okay. The study of this is completely different. Like if a student is preparing for 12 board exam, he cannot clear JW or MSCT with good marks. But both are equally important. It doesn't matter that syllabus of board content is not important. It is also important. JW content is also important. If you are preparing only for JW, you will be lagging in the syllabus involved in board exam. And if you are preparing just for board exam, you will be lagging in the syllabus involved in JW. So both are equally important, but preparation way is different. If anyone is preparing for 12th exam and he is a good student of 12th exam and is scoring 80 or 90% in 12th HSC, so you cannot ensure that he will be getting good equivalent marks in JW also, because the way of preparing for those exams is completely different. Okay. So this is also a case. Here, if I need to apply, my first target was to find out VS. Okay, our first target, let's quickly revise. Okay, our target is to find out VS. For VS, if I have two options, I can either apply KVL in this loop or I can apply KVL in this loop. Because if I apply KVL in this loop, and for the time being, let's assume that we have calculated voltage drop across this as well as this, and this. We have calculated voltage drop across all the resistances. Okay. For the time being, just assume it that we have calculated voltage drop across this. Okay. Now we have voltage drop across all the resistances. Okay. Now, if I apply KVL here, I can simply get the value of VS, or I can apply KVL here also to get the value of. So by applying any one KVL in any one loop, you can easily get the value of VS. For example, if I for the time being, I consider value of this, let's say 6, and let's say with this polarity, let's say 3 volt. So here we have 6 volt, here we have 3 volt. If I apply KVL over here, as per clockwise direction, consider any polarity. Entering polarity or leaving polarity. If I'm considering entering polarity, as per clockwise direction, if I'm considering entering polarity, means for 6 volt, it will be plus 6. For 3 volt, it will be plus 3. And for this, it will be plus Vs equal to 0. Means I'm simply getting value of this is 9 minus 9 volt. Finish. Or you can also get this value by applying KVL in this loop also. This one, if this has a value of 2 volt, if this is a value of 6 volt, if this has a value of 3 volt, okay, by applying here also you can get the same value. But here we don't have a voltage across all the resistances. So that is our target, is to first find out voltage across these resistances. This is our target. Okay, that's why we are doing all this. Once we get the value of voltage across all the branches, we can easily calculate value of PS. Okay, so far what we have done, we have calculated value of voltage across this 2 ohm as well as voltage across this 3 ohm. So 3 ampere current were given to us, so we could have easily calculated, but this is not the case with this 3 ohm resistance. Okay, here we don't have any current flowing through this 3 ampere, so here we'll have to apply simply logic. What is it? Here 1 ampere is coming and here 3 ampere is going here. If I apply KCL at this point and if I assume the direction of current at this, so by applying KCL at this point, I can easily get the value of current through this branch. So after getting the value of current through this branch, I can easily calculate value of voltage I into R. Okay, so that's what we did so far. Okay, so here I assume this X first. So by considering this X, I first applied KCL. So incoming current equals to outgoing current. So X plus 1 is equals to 3. So this is equals to 3 minus 1. So X equals to 2. I wrote it differently. Incoming equals to outgoing. Okay, so outgoing is your 3 plus X, or incoming is your 1. So X will be minus 2. So that's why I have placed here minus 2. Okay, so this is the X. Now after getting the value of this X, I can easily find out value of voltage. Voltage across 3 ohm will be I into R. This will be minus 2 into 3, minus 6 volts. This is your minus 6 volt. Okay, minus 6 volt. We have already assumed direction of current as this, means as per this direction. Since this is a passive element, current should enter from positive. That's why I have marked here this one plus and this one minus. Okay, so far it is clear now. Now, next our target is to find out voltage across this. Okay, if we get the value of voltage across this, we can find current through this also. After getting value of the current through this branch, we can find out current through this branch, because by applying KCL, we already have value of current of this as well as this branch. So by applying KCL, you can easily get the value of current through this particular branch. Okay, so our target is to find out now value of voltage across 4 ohm. So for this, we can apply KVL in this mesh. In this loop. That's why I first told you to don't restrict KVL for applying in mesh loop. Apply KVL in any closed path, whatever is convenient. Simply look at this loop. If I apply in this loop, if I apply KVL in this loop, voltage across this is known to us. Voltage across this is also known to us. Only unknown is voltage across this 4 ohm. So by applying KVL in this closed path, we can easily get the value of this voltage. This is the only unknown. We know the voltage across this as well as this. Okay, simple. So get the value
Yes,
of
sir.
okay, voltage across this. So assume any polarity. First, either you can first assume the current, and if you are first assuming direction of current, as per that direction of current, you will have to mark correct polarity by seeing active and passive element, or you can first assume polarity. By seeing that polarity, later on you can mark direction of current. Again, it should maintain the same nature. For passive, current should enter from positive. For active, current should enter from negative. So here I don't have a requirement of direction of current. Here I need a requirement of voltage. So let me consider it as V1. I can assume any polarity, no restriction. You can either assume at this one or you can assume this one. But later on, when you will be assuming current after this in next step, you will have to be careful. If you have already assumed this polarity, then your direction of current should be this one only, so that it will be entering from positive terminal. Whereas now if you have assumed this as a plus and this as a minus, so later on in next step, if direction of current is required, then your direction of current will be this. Current should enter from positive. Okay, so I think now this particular point has clear to everyone. Okay, so if I consider this polarity, So as per this polarity, if I apply KVL in this loop, okay. So how I will be writing those equation? Consider either entering polarity or leaving polarity. Okay, entering polarity. So entering polarity of all the elements, or if you are considering leaving, so leaving of all the elements. I am considering entering polarity. So for this plus V1, right? Then for this, as per the polarity, minus entering polarity is minus of -6. Value of this voltage is -6. Okay, and this plus, so it will be plus, and the value of voltage is 6. This is equals to here 0. Am I correct? V1. This is now 12.
Yes.
Okay, so this is now 12. So after shifting it to left side, this will be minus. Okay. So now we have calculated value of voltage across 4 ohm, which is -12. So we can simply write value V1 is equals to -12 volt. And polarity we have assumed is this one positive and this one negative. Okay. So now our target is to find out voltage across this. So we can calculate voltage across this. If we know the current flowing through this this branch, how we can get this? At this point, we have 3 branches. If we can get the value of current in 2 branches, rest of the branch current can be easily calculated by using KCL. Okay. So we have value of current through this branch. We can easily find out value of current through this branch because we know value of voltage as well as resistance. Okay. So what is the value of voltage across this 4 ohm? It is -12. Okay. Let me write down it as simply -12. Okay. In any particular node, if you are having 3 elements and if you know the direction of any 2 branches, means that can be easily find out. Okay, so same logic we are applying over here. We have the current flowing in this branch. We can easily get the value of current in this branch because we know the value of voltage as well as current. Okay, so by applying KCL at this point, we can easily find out current through this branch. Okay, now assume current in this resistance. What should be the direction of current? We have already assumed polarity, means our direction of current should be such that it should enter from positive because it's a passive element. So direction will be like this. Okay, means my direction of current through this branch will be like this. It is entering from positive. Okay, now I can consider direction of this current, the direction of current through 1 ohm. Any direction you can assume, but later on when polarity will be required for voltage, you will have to consider this direction, and as per this direction you will have to mark such polarity so that it should enter from positive. Simple. Either first consider current or first consider polarity. Here our requirement is to consider direction of current first. Okay, now what will be the value of current through this branch? I equals to V by R. So V equals to your -12, V by R, -12 by 4, it will be -3. So I can simply write down -3. Okay, this will be minus. Okay. After getting value of this current, I can apply KCL at this point. At this point, this is incoming, and this one is outgoing. Okay, so simply apply. Let's consider it as X. Just simply write down X for the time being. Okay. Incoming current is -3 at node. -3 is incoming. This -2 ampere. This is -2 ampere. Okay, this is -2 ampere. This is also incoming. This is also incoming. Okay. So -3 -2 equals to X, right? So -3 -2 equals to X. So my X is -5, which is my current through 1 ohm. So instead of writing it X, I can simply write down -5. Okay. This was 1. And this is your -5 ampere. -5. Don't forget, here we have -5. Okay. Now, our target is to find out what? Voltage across this branch. Now, after getting value of current, we can easily find value of voltage across this branch. What will be the V? I into R. -5 into 1. means it will be simply minus
Minus
5 volt.
5.
Okay, but now we need to mark the polarity because our target has now fulfilled. We can now simply apply KVL in this loop. So if we apply KVL in this loop, we know the voltage across this, we know the voltage across this, we know the voltage across this Vs, and only unknown is Vs. We can easily get the value of Vs, but the polarity of this should be known to us now. So we have already assumed direction of current. So by keeping this direction in mind, we can give the polarity. This is the passive element, and for passive element, current should enter from positive. So upper one should be positive and bottom one should be negative. Clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we can apply KVL either in this loop or in this loop. From both the method, you are going to get the correct answer. So this one is simple. We have less number of elements over here. Okay. This one, this one, this one. So apply KVL in left bottom loop. If I apply KVL left bottom loop. Okay. Considering any direction. Usually we consider clockwise direction. As per clockwise direction, either consider entering polarity of all the elements or leaving polarity of all the elements. Okay. So if I'm considering entering polarity, means for this one, it will be plus. I'm entering from plus polarity and the value is minus 12. So sign plus with value minus 12. Okay. Plus and the value of voltage is minus. Is it correct? Then next, this one. Polarity of this is as per clockwise, we are entering from plus polarity. So again, it will be plus and the value is minus 5. I will be writing down minus 5. Then for Vs, again I'm entering from plus. So I will be writing down plus. The value of this is your Vs. This is equals to 0. Is it clear? We are just applying KVL in this loop. So this is your first element, second element, third element. We are applying KVL means we will have to write voltage across all the elements, and the voltage across this element is minus 12. Across this is minus 5 and Vs. So I'm considering entering polarity of all the elements. So this is positive. So I will be writing plus of minus 12 volt. This is entering plus of minus 5 volt. This is also plus of Vs. So this is where we have. Okay. Now I can find out value of Vs. So minus 12 minus 5. This is coming out to be minus 17 plus Vs. Means our Vs is 17 volt. Vs is your 17 volt. Did you get this problem properly? How to solve? By seeing the problem, you will have to first apply the logic where we can get our required value, where we can apply KVL or where we can apply KCL. There is no particular fixed method to solve any kind of a numerical. You will have to first think before start where we can apply KCL, where we can apply KVL to simplify our numerical. Okay. So I think by seeing this particular problem, some idea you might have got related to how to apply KVL in different loops to fulfill our requirement. Okay. Now, in the same problem, if it has asked to find out power dissipated, okay, forget it. Before moving to this, can you cross check whether you have calculated the correct value or not? How we can cross check? You must have studied one theorem. Supplied power is equals to total power absorbed in the network. Total supplied power of the network is equals to total power absorbed in the network. Okay. So if you need to cross check, we can calculate summation of supplied power and we can calculate summation of absorbed power, and this should be same. Supplied power should be equals to absorbed power. Okay. Okay, before moving on to this, let me give you another problem. Now you will be explaining me how to solve. Okay, then I will move over to previous numerical to see how we can calculate power or we can cross check final answer. If any one of you really need to give GATE exam sincerely, you can start practicing, and if you are facing doubt in any particular topic, you can come to me in department personally once it is restored, once offline class is restored. Okay, so because in a short span, here we have only 3 to 4 lectures, so it is not possible to cover all category of numericals. Okay? But still I am at least trying to give a basic idea how you can start solving any numerical. Okay, here you have another numerical. Here it is asking simply to find out power supplied by 10-volt source. Power supplied by 10-volt source. This is your 10-volt source. Okay. If you need to calculate power supplied through any source, first make one thing very clear. This is your source. You may have voltage source as well as current source. Instead of giving voltage source, you could have current source. If power supply means right now your source is acting as a voltage rise, energy supplying device, power supplying device, means current should enter from negative. Okay, this direction is not given in the numerical. Okay, if you are trying to find out power supplied by this source, means you will have to consider direction of current in this fashion, because as per the direction, current is entering from negative terminal. But in the same numerical, if it is asking power absorbed by the source, means you will have to consider this direction. If it is saying power absorbed, means self numerical is saying that this particular source is not supplying, it is absorbing. So as per that concept, current should enter from positive. Okay, mostly if you have a source, it will be asking to find out power supplied by the source. So if power supplied is required, means you can simply consider direction of current as this one. Now power supply, formula of power, V into I. V into I means our target is to calculate simply value of current. We already have value of voltage, which is 10 volt, means our target is to simply find out value of current I. Once we get value of current I, we can easily find out value of power supplied by the source. We have value of voltage, but we don't have value of current I. So our target is to find out power absorbed or power supplied by this source. Okay, so our target is now clear. Now to achieve this target, what can be done? Try to apply some logic how we can find out value of this current. Similar concept is going to utilize in this numerical also. What we just saw by applying KVL in different loops, you can apply KVL in any loop. You can consider current of any branch in any direction, but accordingly polarity should be correct. Okay, you have full liberty. Now try to think how we can find out. Okay, let me move on. This one is your I. Okay, this one is your I. One more thing, I forgot to write over. 3 ampere is mentioned over. Current through this 1 ohm is 3 ampere. It is given in the numerical. Now what can be done? Can I mark current through all the branches? Our target is what? Our target is to find out current. Okay, our target is to find out current. If I apply KVL in any path, suppose in this path, and if I know the voltage across all the branches, okay, if I know the voltage drop across all the branches, this is the known voltage. If I know the voltage across all the branches, and if I apply KVL in this path, voltage across this particular branch will be definitely in terms of I, because we don't know the exact value of current flowing through this branch. Okay, so definitely if we are going to calculate value of current through this branch, it will be in terms of this I. Suppose I am applying KCL. I am applying KCL at this point. We know I, this current and this current. If we know current of two associated branches at any point, we can find out current through this branch. What will be? This is your I. This is your 3. I is coming from here. I is coming from here. And 3 is coming from here. Means here it will be I plus 3. Okay, it will get added up. I is coming from here. 3 is coming from here. Both will be added. And this will be I plus 3. Am I correct? Okay. Now, this same current will flow through this branch also, because this is in series. So current through this branch will also I plus 3. Will also I plus 3. Now, this current from this current